Apex Online Racing is sponsored by Elgato, who created this lovely stream deck. For more information about the stream deck, the link is in the description below.
Good evening everyone and welcome to the Project Cars 2 AOR LMP2 League on the PC Season number 1, Round number 3. This is Nürburgring Combined. My name is Thompson and I will be commentating the race for you tonight. So good evening to all of you. I hope you're doing absolutely fantastic and are looking forward to this race as much as I am. Great track and an interesting car combination here. So usually, obviously, if you follow the Nürburgring, VLN or the 24-hour race, you know that usually the fastest cars that lap around here are GT3 cars, but tonight we're doing it in LMP2s. So that's going to be interesting to see how the cars fare around this historic track located in the Eifel in Germany. And first of all, let's have a quick look at the current standings. There it is on screen right now. As you can see, Bergerfranz is leading with 94 points after his first and second place in the first two races. We've got Ultimate Kaiser in third, Tomahawks in... Ultimate Kaiser in second, Tomahawks in third. Then we've got AS Turbo and Yogok, our second race winner, who unfortunately had a crash in the first race and had to leave. That's... was a very unfortunate thing and definitely hurt his championship aspirations, but we'll see how the championship plays out. Good evening, JJ. Welcome to chat. And yeah, so I think it's going to be a very, very interesting race. As usual, we're going to have 15 minutes of qualifying, and then tonight we'll have a 60-minute race. With qualifying length being 15 minutes and a lap being about, I think a bit over 7.5 minutes or something. You'll probably only be able to do 2 laps. And that is with the out lap, so let's see. I know there's a little glitch in the game where you can actually get a timed out lap just for a banker lap. But I'm not sure if it's allowed to utilize that, or if anyone will, or if everybody will. So we'll have to wait and see. Alright, so I think the first driver out is WMDR Martin. So let's go straight to him. There we go, there he is on track. So this lap starts off with the GP circuit part of the track, as we now come down towards the hairpin down at the bottom of the track. You can see Martin heating up his tyres. Let's see if we can find... There we have him, Bergerfranz, our current championship leader. Bit of a slide there, coming out of the corner. So, because obviously the lap is so long, usually I like to go through the lap, either on the out laps or on the first flying lap. So let's just do that straight away. As we've come out of the hairpin, this is the Michael Schumacher S, up the hill. And this is where the formation point will be for the start of the race. We won't do a full lap because of the length of the track, and then this part here is the acceleration zone when we will start the race. So this corner is called Advan, and then we've got the chicane here, which we will use the VLN version, so the faster chicane, and then we'll turn left here instead of right, and now we're on the famous Nordschleife. First part is downhill, a couple of technical and fast turns here at Hatzenbach. And then this first heavy braking zone, you can see there's a big tyre wall on the outside there. That possibly will be used at some point. And then we go through Hoheneichen and on to Quiddelbacher Höhe. I can see Bogey Franz being let through here. This part here is called Flugplatz because some cars tend to get some air here, but the LMP2 cars with all their downforce, not an issue there for them, as they now come down the hill and up over the crest again of Schwedenkreuz and into Arenberg. Very tight right-hander, important to get right, because you've got a long acceleration zone ahead of you, and then again they will drop down the mountain here into the so-called foxhole. A lot of compression here down in the valley as you go back up and into Adenauer Forst, and then out onto Metzgersfeld. On the left here is the Rebel Tree, if you know what that is. Good on you. If not, don't worry about it. It's the only time I'll mention it. And then obviously we go into Kallenhardt. A very tight right-hander. And then you accelerate out of here. This chicane looks like it might not be flat, but yeah, it is. But it's also very tight. So important to get that right. We've got the famous miss it miss. And then into Werseifen, slowest part of the Nordschleife. And then down into the village of Breitscheid. There's on the right hand side here after the bridge, there's a small exit for emergencies. And then we go back up the hill, important to get the power down early. This next left-hander here is where Niki Lauda had his famous crash in, was it 76, I believe. And then we get onto a long acceleration part up the hill, where it's going to be very crucial to get the exit right. And then basically the car works its way up the mountainside, as there's a bit of a scrap going up ahead there. It's obviously not too optimal. This part here is called Mutkurve, bravery turn, because it's a very, very, very fast left-hand kink. I've got Klostertal here as Bogey Franz goes a bit off track, and to the left here is a very steep practice or test track to test hill climbing abilities of cars. You can see Bogey Franz going out on the outside of the carousel here. I think one of the most famous corners on the Nordschleife, and then still we go uphill until we reach the peak here. That is Hohacht. That's the highest mountain here of the Nordschleife, and then we go over the crest, and then the track starts dropping back down again. There's a very fast part of the track as we go through Wippermann and Eschbach. And then this next part here is famous for its YouTube corner. It's Brünnchen. As we go down into the valley here and back up again. And this is the famous YouTube corner. We've possibly seen a lot of crashes, so let's hope that doesn't happen. This corner here is called Ice Turn. As you can see, Bogey Franz going very wide there. It's because of usually the shadow there. It's usually a bit wet, a bit cold, and very slippery because of that. And then through Flansgarten. And then we're already at the back end of the lap here. So we have another very fast sweeping section. This is the Schwalbenschwanz. Left-hander. Very difficult to see. And then we've got the so-called small carousel. And then we've got one very long right-hander here with the multiple corner radii. I think that's the right term, isn't it? As we go round the right here, and then on the longest straight of the day. This is Döttinger Höhe. As you can see, Bogey now keeping the temperatures in the tyres, because obviously in the Nordschleife part itself there's so many corners, it's not too difficult to get the temperature in the tyres, but here you'll have to do a bit of weaving and a bit of braking to get all the temperatures up. And then we've got the bridge here of Antoniasbuche, that's this left hand here, again down into the compression of Tiergarten, and then into the Hohenrhein chicane, and that concludes the lap of the Nordschleife and also of the combined circuit, as we now come onto the start-finish straight, and Bogi will start his first flying lap. So we can see just under 12 minutes now left in the session, so I think qualifying was extended to 20 minutes. I didn't have a look at that, but looks like that was something that happened. So yeah, should be fairly easy to get a couple of laps in. So everybody would just have filled quite a bit of fuel in and then do some laps. So 2 laps should be possible, plus the out lap. So we'll see where everybody ends up. It's a bit more of an anticlimactic qualifying session in the first couple of minutes, obviously because the lap is so long. With the out lap, it basically takes 15 minutes until the first couple of times come in, but that's okay. And I've just noticed you don't have any track audio. I'm very sorry for that, so there you go. Now you should be able to hear the cars. And good evening, Robin. Yeah, this is absolutely a great car and track combination on this game. It's a lot of fun, and I've driven quite a few laps myself. Ooh, big moment there from Burger Franz as he goes through the chicane and onto the Nordschleife. Someone's off to the left there, and might catch who that is. One of the orange Ligiers. That might have been Martin or AS Turbo. I think it's Martin. He was ahead of Bogi Franz, wasn't he? Interestingly, we've got Tomahawks, who's in the pits for some reason. So I'm not quite sure if he's having technical difficulties or something. It would be unfortunate, but as I say that, he leaves the pits now. Or maybe he had a crash of some sort, and he does have enough time to go around and start a lap, so that should be fine. Let's go back to our championship leader, Bogi Franz, as he comes through Schwedenkreuz, hard braking downhill into the right-hander, and early on the power again to get a good run out of there. You can see he's got a bit of traffic in front. Obviously that's a bit more of a difficult topic tonight, as we can see Cameron has gone to the pits, so something must have happened there. Obviously good evening to everyone who has joined in the last couple of minutes. Good to have you here. Welcome to the stream. So yeah, let's see how the first round of lap times pan out. Obviously you need a bit of luck with traffic, because everybody is trying to set laps, and overtaking on the Nordschleife isn't very easy, and if you're stuck around 3/4 of the lap, you can lose a couple of seconds if you're unlucky, so we'll have to wait and see. Let's open the track map actually, so you can see where on the track people are. See, Bogi Franz is actually one of the first out. I think the other 2 white dots further up ahead are people who have started their lap later. As we now come to Bergwerk, I think this is. Yeah, there we go. And now we go up the hill. This is the part where I said it's a very, very, very long flat out section, even though there's not really a straight to be seen. It's just very fast, small kinks. And You can see that Bogey Franz is now really getting into traffic here, so let's see if he has to make an overtake here as they go through the curve. Oh, that looked so sketchy in the dirty air, but everybody held on to that. So good job from those drivers. As they now come to the carousel, so we can see two opting to stay at top, one going down onto the concrete slabs. That will shake you around quite a bit. And you can see Bogey Franz possibly a bit quicker than two ahead of him, but well, nowhere to get past at the moment. Oh, as he gets onto the curb and into the wall! Oh no, that's terrible for Bogey Franz. Looks like he'll continue, but he definitely has some damage now. Yogok, interestingly enough, is in the pits and has a penalty, but looking at the time remaining, he won't be able to drive around, I think. So perhaps, yeah, I think he's noticed that now. He's pulled off to the side, and he will not be able to set a time. Same for Cameron B. Very unfortunate for him. Won't be able to complete a lap. And yeah, Bogey Franz also has come in because of the damage. So two of the arguably quickest drivers are not setting a time tonight, and they're going to start somewhere in the pack. That's definitely going to be very interesting. So let's have a look at someone else. There we go. We have Ultimate Kaiser, one of the two drivers that were ahead of Bogey Franz earlier, and you can see again here at the small carousel, Ultimate decides to not go onto the concrete slabs but stay on the outside. We'll have to wait and see which is the fast option. But now they come onto the long straight, and possibly with the slipstream here, Ultimate will get overtaken before we get to Horn Line, so we'll have to wait and see. See 290 kilometers an hour, and then once the track drops down, they'll gain a couple of more, and I think Carlyle probably will be hitting 300 now. Oh, he's having a look around the outside. That's not a good idea. Just one chicane to go, and then oh, Ultimate with a big slide there. That's unfortunate. But he held on to it, so they'll set some lap times. So let's see what the first benchmarks of the night will be. Ultimate with a 7 minute 30, and Inky Chris with a 7:24. So that's the first couple of times we have. You can see Inky Chris is now passed. And we should get more lap times in fairly soon. There we go. AOS Turbo with a 7 minute 29. And Smolder with a 7:31. So 4 times across the line now. Currently Inky Chris got quite a gap there. But obviously with the track length, the gaps between the different cars obviously will be larger than usual. That's JJ across the line. Well, not a very good lap, 7:52. So must have had some sort of incident somewhere down the line. Eisenschenk in P5 now, and Average Boy P6 with a 7:37. The Gnome in 7th, 7:39, and Exus also with some sort of trouble. Obviously he's now on the gravel trap. So Exus won't be improving on that. That's a 7 minute 50 for the moment. And if other drivers improve, that's going to be fairly far down the order probably. We'll have to wait and see. We've got Stephen Carey putting himself in 5th in the black liveried Ligier with a 7:34. So about 10 seconds off pole position at the moment. So it looks like Inky Chris really got a good lap in there. But everybody will have a second chance. Let's see what other drivers are on track. Martin has, I think, just started his lap. Fat Scout is at the far end of the Nordschleife at the moment. Mlonya coming across the track with a 8:04, so not even under the 8-minute mark, and goes through the gravel. That's definitely not going to help his lap. I think he might pull over. Yeah, there we go. It's not going to improve his time. Uni is on the Dettinger Höhe now, so it should be completing a lap, looking at that fuel margin. So I don't think this is an outlap, so we'll have to wait a couple of seconds. And interesting to see that Uni's top speed is quite a bit lower than Ultimate's was, about 15 kilometers less, so perhaps running quite a bit more downforce, which is interesting. Might be easier to get through the Nordschleife, but also more vulnerable for overtakes. And looks like Uni is actually starting a lap, so no time there. Currently 12 drivers have set lap times, and most of them are on the back end of the track now. So let's have a look at Inky Chris here. He's currently on provisional pole position. You can see that's the 10-kilometer mark of the Nordschleife. The Grand Prix circuit is, I think, another about 4.5 or 4.2 kilometers in the configuration that we're running here, obviously without the Mercedes arena. Just the S at the start of the lap. So as it stands at the moment, starting order at the front would be Inky Chris, AS Turbo, Ultimate Kaiser, Smolder, Stephen Carey, Eisenschenk, Average Boy, The Gnome, Dare File. It's apparently a new driver I'm not yet aware of. Has he already been promoted to full-time driver, I think? Nope, it's one of the reserves, so welcome to your first race. And then in P10 we have Exus, who's not going to be improving his time, as well as the Gnome, as well as Ultimate. All in the pits. So people dropping out. We can see qualifying is complete, so the time has run out. But there's plenty of time left to complete the lap. Everybody will be allowed to do so. And then we'll see what the results are. We can see quite a few drivers down here as well. Haven't set a time yet in the pits. So not the most successful qualifying session for them. So perhaps even with the slow time, we'll start fairly far towards the front. So important to just actually get a time in with only 2 tries basically. Jim was betting on a 7:18 or quicker for pole. Not impossible, but I'm not quite seeing that happening currently. Although Inky Chris is 4 seconds up, so if you can find another 2, but he's not got many corners left. Most of the track that's still left is straight, so if you can find another 2 seconds there, that would give him a 7:18. But yeah, if Jogok or Bogie would have completed any kind of lap, I bet there would be a sub 7:18 there as well. But yeah, they were struggling, and at the moment they're sitting 19th and 20th, with Jogok actually having a penalty of 1 grid place. So they'll swap positions. As Inky Chris comes now up and down the straight, and looks like he'll be the first one of the current runners to set another lap. So we'll see where Inky Chris ends up as he comes through the last chicane here. Starts off very fast and then gets very slow, second gear, and then back onto the Grand Prix circuit. So what's the improvement going to be? Currently a 724, it's a 719.5. So a 5-second improvement there from Inky Chris, and really cementing that pole position at the moment. Let's see what AS Turbo can do. He's also at the end of the lap now. And that's actually Ritvars putting himself up into third with a 729. Good effort there from him. Let's see what AS Turbo can do. Can he challenge for pole position? No, he can't. A 724. Smolder coming across the line. 729 in 9th. Where's the rest of the pack? Stephen Carey still quite a bit behind. Eisenschenk, reasonably quick driver as well. What can he do? Currently he's sitting on a 736. That's 17 seconds off pole position. So he'd need quite the improvement there. As I think that was Gwegwin putting himself up into 7th with a 733. Eisenschenk up into P6, 732. And we've got Stephen Carey and Diafile still out, and Uni is actually still out. So is that a flying lap? He's quite a bit behind. And Tomahawks is also still on the flying lap. So we'll have to wait on those two there. Ooh, bit of a lock up there. Going into the right-hander, but should be alright. Can he improve? Currently 734. No improvement. Looks like no improvement here either. Therefore, staying in P14. And now I've got 2 drivers left to set times. So currently we've got 18 times on the board. And where can Tomahawks line up? Currently 3rd in the championship, so he wants to be in the top 5 for sure. There's still got the corner to go. There we go. Let's see what the time is. Tomahawks, can he challenge for the top couple of spots? He puts himself into 4th with a 7-minute 27, just behind Ticklish Picklewickle actually, who put himself into 3rd. Not to sound too mean towards him, but not really somewhere he would be expected to be, considering the last couple of performances, finishing in P17 and P13 in the last 2 races. So good effort there from the Dane. And now we've only got Uni left. That's a nice camera shot here, flying down the straight. As he's now got only the last section ahead of him, and then qualifying will be complete. So unless anything terrible happens, we'll have 20 times on the board, and then obviously a few drivers who were a bit unlucky not getting the time on the board. So where can Uni place himself? Perhaps a top 10 there. Qualifying session is over. Didn't show me, as we saw Uni go past there. P8 it was with a 7:30.007. So starting grid for the Nürburgring combined race here in the LMP2 series on Project Cars 2 is Inky Chris takes pole position with a 7-minute 19.5. Then AS Turbo will start alongside, and then we've got TPW and Tomahawks in 2nd row. Behind them we've got Average Boy, Ritvars, Smolder, Uni, Ultimate Kaiser and Eisenschenk. I'll round off the top 10, and then it already skipped to the race. So let's go through the order. So we've talked about everyone. So WMDR Martin just starting outside the top 10. Gwegwin P12. We've got Stephen Carey 13th. The Gnome in P14, JJ starting 15th, Deofile on his first outing here in P16, Exus 17th, Fat Scout in P18, Mlonja in 19th, and then we've got Keyboard Blondie in P20, and then we've got all the drivers who haven't set a time, so that's Dusty in 21st, Burger Franz, our current championship leader, starting in 22nd, Yogurt, another race winner, starting alongside in 23rd, we've got Rixie in P24, Crab 25th, Karen behind, and then Mashup Matt and Atomic round off the grid. Alright, so the drivers now have 2 minutes as usual to get their setups and their pit strategies in order for this 60-minute race. Usually with the manual rolling start procedure, we'd do a warm-up lap and then start across the start-finish line, but considering how long this track actually is, there's an exception tonight. So they will basically drive half a lap of the Grand Prix circuit and then line up after the Michael Schumacher S, or if the leader does want to, perhaps a bit earlier, maybe before the S. And then they've got 2 more corners to go, and they'll basically start on the back straight of the Grand Prix circuit. So the first kink, the advent turn, they're going to fly through their flat, and then the first braking zone will be into the chicane at the end of the GP circuit. And everybody's setting off now for the formation lap. You can see got 60 minutes of race time, and considering lap times, I think we might get 9 laps, but most probably 8, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, everybody pulling away now. See the back of the pack is also moving, and then it'll be Inky Chris who's going to be leading the pack, and he's going to decide when the race will start. There's a set acceleration zone where Inky Chris will be able to decide when he wants to go, and once he floors it, that's when the race is underway. No Invictus, no full warm-up lap will start on the back straight of the GP circuit, and odd starting positions will start on the left, and then even positions will be starting on the right. You can see that they're lining up now as we come through the Michael Schumacher S. And they'll be starting in that 2x2 formation. And current race starting time is 1 PM, and then we've got 10 times time acceleration, so we'll race into the night here at the Nürburgring as they now come round basically the final corner of the formation lap. Someone was off in the gravel there, but Inky Chris has now started the race through the acceleration zone and down into what will be the first turn here. You can see TPW side by side with AS Turbo as they come into the chicane. Oh, there's been contact, and that looks like TPW having bits of side by side swipe there. He's dropped down to 5th. He's now side by side with Average Boy, but had the inside line there. Coming onto the Nordschleife, again a bit of contact behind. I think that was TPW's, is that perhaps his teammate? No, that's actually Ritvars here. Who's up into 5th, starting from P6. Inky Chris with a decent start, he's leading away, and Tomahawks in 3rd. And just having a look, where are our fast drivers at the back? That's Bogey Franz, who's already up into 18th. Yogurt with a great start, up into P16. They've got both quite a way to fight through the pack. And yeah, we can see the top 3 separating pretty quickly here as we go through Flugplatz for the first time. Ritvaas here is behind TPW. I'm not quite sure if TPW received any damage there from the contact through the chicane and onto the Nordschleife entry. But looks like for now the car's driving fine. As I say, that big slide there from TPW. Surely a slow exit side by side with Ritvaas. He's going to find himself, I think, on the outside. He backs out of that one down into Foxhole. And it sticks back into 5th position here at the Nürburgring. So just having a look, it looked like yeah, Keyboard Blondie lost their rear wing. That's very unfortunate, and I've had that happen in a practice session. These cars are undrivable without the rear wing. You can see just sliding and fighting, so that's going to cost a huge amount of time. Uni also with a bit of damage, but at least the rear wing is still attached. It's also going to lose time. And then Atomic looks like he's still holding on to the back of the pack, so hasn't made up any spots, but looks like he stayed out of incidents, which is good. Got Ritvaas, Smolder and Average Boy trying to fight TPW for that 4th position early in this race as we come down through Breitscheid now. So we'll have to wait and see how many overtaking opportunities we'll see on the Nordschleife itself. Obviously there are a few, depending on the exit. Flugplatz might be a scary one, but you could go for it if you're desperate. Same with Schwedenkreuz. Obviously Dettingerhöhe is a good overtaking opportunity, being the longest straight on the track, so Slipstream will be very, very powerful there. And then obviously on the Grand Prix circuit, we've got the first turn into the S, and then on the back straight the chicane. I think those are your best options. Obviously in the carousel, if you're very close, you might get a chance. Oh, and that's, I think, TPW off and into the wall here at Mutkurve, and dropping position to Ritvaas. Holding on to it for now, was being put on the pressure from Smolder from behind, and surely that contact now definitely should have done some damage. Obviously hard to see from the outside. Both of them opting to go down to the bottom of the carousel as they get spat out by the concrete slabs and back up the mountain. Inky Chris has already pulled out a 5-second gap. Yoguk is already in 11th. He is a man on a mission, that's for sure. His rival Bogue Franz is currently in 16th. So both of those drivers are making up positions. Tomahawks trying to follow AS Turbo here in the fight for 2nd place. And Average Boy still on the back of Smaller there, but as I say it, runs very wide. I think that was, yeah, that was a YouTube corner actually where he went off into the gravel. So that's the first victim of that corner. He lost quite a bit of time, and now he himself is under pressure from WM Liam Martin. He's made up 3 spots from the start, starting in 11th. Oh, that was a bit wide there, bit scary moment. But Martin held on to that one. Again, the wipers going. I don't know why that's a thing with Martin, but apparently it is. Maybe some sort of superstition. Oh, and that's Ritvaas in the wall there. Was just about to talk about TPW not giving up on that, and yeah, Ritvaas hitting the inside wall at the small carousel, interestingly enough. I wasn't aware that that was a thing to spin into there, but there you go. And now he'll be very, very vulnerable. Oh dear. Coming down the straight, as you can see, all the cars flying down here. Look at that. Straight line speed from Small behind, pulls alongside, even way before they come to the bridge. And I think That's already moved done right there. As they now drop back down the hill. There we go. That's small ahead. Up into P5. Ritvar's down into 6th. We've got Average Boy and Martin side by side through Hornrhein. And that's Martin puts him, I think, yeah, Martin puts himself ahead there. Wow, what a move. Great stuff there from Martin up into 7th. That's the bravery we want to see. Because that's a very scary fast chicane if you go in there side by side. And Martin just absolutely pulled it off. You can see we've got quite a group here from P5 down to P9. As we come through the Yokohama S onto lap number 2 of tonight's race. And we've got JJ in the pits. Yeah, JJ without a rear wing, that's not going to help. And also with a penalty of, let's have a look, of 10 seconds. So I'm not quite sure if that was due to pit entry infringement. So JJ will be getting a new front wing. And it looks like he was that keyboard blondie who also didn't have a rear wing out of the race. Didn't make it back. And Uni also pulling it in to repair that front left-hand damage. You can see the car's alignment is off. Driving a bit, crabbing a bit there, to be fair. Driving a bit sideways. Back to the on-track action. We've got Ritvars in P6 now. Trying to get that spot back from Smolder. Yogok now up into 9th, side by side here with Martin. That was. And getting past. Next up for Yorick is Average Boy right in front of him. So let's see which spots Yorick picks to get past. Oh, that was quite a slide, but he held on to that. And he's got the next car in his sights, locked in. That's the battle for 7th. So Yorick doing really, really well, considering we're only about 10 minutes into this race, and he's already moved up what, 12 spots, 13 spots, something like that. Incredible stuff, absolutely incredible stuff. So as they come up to Flugplatz now, not close enough, but there's still a bit to go into the first braking zone, so perhaps an option there. As they come down the hill, but the question is, will he get enough slipstream to get close enough? Doesn't look like it at the moment. The race is still very young, still quite a way to go. So no need for unnecessary silly risk, and Yogurt knows that. He's been involved in incidents this season already, and I think he'll be trying to avoid any more for the rest of the season. Meanwhile, gap at the front is already 12 seconds now, so Inky Chris looking like he's in control of this race at this first stage. And this is what it looks like from the driver's perspective. You can see how close the Yogurt got there on mid-corner, and he's really pushing hard, maybe trying to force Average Boy into a mistake. Oh, as Yogurt gets washed out a bit wide there due to the dirty air, as they now come down to Beerseifen. So what could be the next overtaking opportunity for Yogurt? Possibly up the hill through Kesselchen. If you can get it done before the loop curve, that would be great. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. You can see both of them actually closing in to Smolder and Ritvars ahead. So this two-way fights, these may become one four-way fight. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, Smolder not really able to pull away from Ritvars, who had that mistake earlier, and basically threw away P4, I think that was. And looking away for 1 second, and Jorg gets rid of Average Boy. So there we go. Jorg now up into seventh. Sorry, not second. It's not that far up the order yet. Up into 7th, and next up is Ritvars as Jorg runs a bit wide there onto the dirt. So he's definitely utilising all of the track and a bit more. Bergefran's currently also up into 12th. He's behind the gnome at the moment. And the gnome, I'm not quite sure if he let him through. Yeah, it looks like, oh, the gnome has damage. Alright, so let the Norwegian driver through, and got a thank you for it. And that's Bergefran's up into 11th. Next up is Gwegwin, although Gwegwin is 7 seconds away, so that will most likely take a moment to close that gap. So Jorg now having caught up to Ritvars, and again one wheel off the track there, losing all the space as they come through Brunchen. And Ritvars running very wide. They're yogging out, having a look into YouTube corner. Oh, and there's been contact. No! Oh no! Ritvars ran wide there. Jorg sticking the nose in. And Ritvars just shutting that door, and both of them going into the wall there. Surely that will be fairly severe damage for both of the drivers, as Martin has now closed up to Jorg. And we were just talking about how Jorg had been caught up in incidents in Bathurst in race 1 and lost a race victory due to it. And now again, just having a car ahead of him that's apparently slower and getting in that incident. Looks like Ritvars let them go out of courtesy. It feels like he was responsible for that incident. And that means Jorg is now in 7th, but it's going to be interesting to see what the damage is. Usually from the exterior cameras here, it doesn't look too bad, but it's difficult to tell from the replay cameras. There's a nice shot here where you can see how the cars are spread out on track. So we'll have to wait and see what the situation is. Yeah, Jorg is quite a bit down on straight line speed as Martin just whizzes past here. Let's open the speedo. Yeah, 265, and Martin is on 292, so that's only almost a 30km/h difference. So damage on the front of that car must be quite severe. Jorg letting Gwegwin through as well. Thing is he going to pit? Because I think a tank of fuel is about 40 minutes, so it might be worth thinking about risking it with a bit of fuel saving. And yeah, there we go, Jorg in for his stop. He's still got plenty of the tank, but I bet he'll fill it up and then try and stretch the fuel to the end. You can see, yeah, it looks like the alignment is a bit off on that car, so he'll drop down a couple of positions. That now moves Bergefran's up into 10th place. As was that Gwegwin? Yeah, Gwegwin. Did he hit the inside wall? That was hard to see in that split second, but yeah, with an issue there in the Yokohama S, and that's the gnome as well. Spinning off on exit and going to the inside there. We can see front left damage on his car, and losing a couple of positions as well. Got more drivers in the pits. We've got steam carriers in, and Dusty's coming in as well for some repairs, as well as Mashup Matt. We've got a couple of more penalties as well. So Dusty has 1 second, Matt has 10, and JJ has 10 as well. So that might shuffle things around at the end of the race. So yeah, at the front, Inky Chris extending the lead now, almost 20 seconds, not quite yet though. And then we've got AS Turbo in second, and then that next gap isn't quite as big. You can see it right here. About 3.5 seconds to AS Turbo, and then TPW only 1.2 seconds behind, so if TPW keeps pushing, this might be his race of the season tonight, with a shot at the podium. So that would be a very good result for him. Rogi Franz has now caught up to Ritvars, closed down that 7-second gap, and Ritvars lets him past. So I'm guessing Ritvars with some damage as well, as he just keeps it out of the wall after dipping a tyre into the grass. So it looks like Ritvars doing another lap perhaps to be safe on the pit strategy with the fuel. And Rogi Franz now up into 8th. Currently 47 seconds behind the leader, so I'd honestly be surprised if he would be able to close that gap down, and I don't think that'll happen, but he'll surely try and move up as far as he can. He's a very quick driver, we know that. Meanwhile, Crab is the next one to get past Ritvars here, definitely limping here. So I wouldn't be surprised if Ritvars is coming into the pits at the end of this lap, because that's just costing a lot of time now at this point. Meanwhile, in the mid-pack, we have Exus, who's behind Ultimate Kale here. This is P13 and 14. So not quite sure whether Exus has closed up to Ultimate or has previously been overtaken, but yeah, usually Ultimate is further up the order, that's for sure. P13 not usually territory where we'd expect the German driver, seeing he's currently second in the drivers' standings. So 1/3 of the race has now gone past, and have a look here. Small exclamation mark next to TPW's name, which means he's closed the gap to about a second now to Tom Bahawks. So a Danish-Swedish fight here for the podium. That's going to be very spicy indeed. As they come up the hill, and then through the carousel. So let's see if they choose different lines through there, or if they both choose the same. No, we can see TPW going down the bottom, and Tom Bahawks stayed up top. And actually, it looks like TPW did lose a bit of time through the carousel, so not quite sure if that's down to the individual driver or whether the top line actually is a bit faster. Smaller behind, also only 3 seconds behind, so if TPW will try and mount a charge here for 3rd place, he'll have to have in mind that it shouldn't cost him too much time to not allow any drive from behind to close up. That can easily happen. We go side by side through a couple of corners as they come through München. It looked like TPW going a bit wide there, but Tom Bahawks actually even going a bit wider or deeper into that corner. So yeah, that's sometimes happens when you're following a car and basically in the rhythm, and the driver in front of you is a bit late on the brakes, and you know, sometimes you kind of get sucked in and make the same mistake if you're following. But both of them stayed on the track, so didn't lose any time particularly there. But yeah, Tom Bahawks bit in the grass there through Schwabenschwanz. That's not going to be optimal as they go through the small carousel. So now this corner is going to be very important for TPW to get a good exit. You can see 7/10 at the moment. That's the view right there. And now should get a decent amount of slipstream. Also depending on how much downforce the two are using. Cameron B in the chat, good evening. Having internet issues, unfortunately, tonight. It's sad to hear, but welcome to the stream, I guess. But I bet you'd rather prefer racing tonight, as a TPW had a little look there, coming into Horn Line, but Tomahawks blocking that off very nicely, shutting that door before TPW had a chance to have a look. As they start lap number 4 now, with 36 minutes remaining in the session. Smolder into the pits, which is an interesting choice, considering he still has quite a bit of fuel left if he wanted to. But maybe trying a different strategy here. Can make that work, that would be great for him. Just having a look, Yogok is in P16 currently, after coming into the pits and getting some damage repaired, filling up the tank, and now flies past Deafile, who yeah, looks like he has some damage. He's only half throttle here down the straight, so he's definitely having some sort of issue. And Ritvar's also into the pits. He's currently in P12. That moves Ultimate up into 10th. So Ultimate slowly but surely gaining a couple of positions. And moving all towards an area where he'd be expected, considering his recent performances. And Yogok is in the pits again, and I can only imagine that he needs to top off on fuel. Looks that's what I would guess. I can't see any damage at the moment, so I'm guessing he filled it up, checked the fuel usage, and calculated that it wouldn't be enough to get to the end. So you're back in the pits. So that race, yeah, difficult there for him, as Ritvar's now leaving the pits again. Burgerfranz currently up into 7th, 11 seconds behind WMDR Martin. And yeah, Ritvar's now out of the pits, as I've said. Was expecting him to come in anyways, because of him being slow due to damage, and we got that car fixed, and is back out on track. Inky Chris is still at the front, still slowly extending that gap. Did a 7:23 last time around. Very decent lap there, considering the fuel that was on board. Only 4 seconds slower compared to his qualifying time. Deafile now in the pits. Yeah, that was looked like quite a bit of damage, so that was definitely necessary. But yeah, Inky Chris, good race from him. Calm, controlled, slowly extending the gap, and just trying to get to a point where he doesn't have to worry about the cars behind anymore, and just keep it off the walls. And just having a look at the times, it looks like, I'm not quite sure if Burgerfranz possibly had some sort of incident, but he lost 18 seconds to Inky Chris. Not what I would have been expecting. I would have expected him to set fastest laps, but last time around was only a 7:39, so 16 seconds slower. So something must have happened there, maybe a spin or something. But he's currently in 7th position. Yogok back behind Ritvar's. Let's hope this time around Yogok gets past incident free. Not like a couple of laps ago. They come down to Schwedenkreuz. This time he's closer. So let's see if he can make a move happen there. He's going to be on the inside. late on the brakes, and the rip valve actually goes off the track and into the gravel trap, and that's basically a free position there for Joruk. Next up, P16 is JJ, 1.3 seconds up the road. As Joruk still trying to improve its points tally. Currently P17, that would give 4 points, so not very much. Wegwin comes up to the back of Crab here. The battle for P8. Wegwin obviously, as you can see by the very obvious shape, one of the few drivers to drive the Marek. Great sounding car, in my opinion. As they now come up to Korsatar and into the ever famous carousel. Let's have a look from the driver's perspective. Both of them opting to stay at the top of the track. It's very reasonable to do so in LMP cars, to be fair. And Joruk has caught up to the back of JJ. Looks like JJ got a terrible run out of, I think, X-Meter that was, and just basically moved off to the side, seeing that there was no chance of staying in front of Joruk. And that moves Joruk now up into P16. So now exactly 30 minutes left in the session, so I'll reach the halfway point now on lap 4. And it looks like at the moment it's a very controlled affair for Inky Chris, not being challenged. We've got quite the sizable lead as he now crosses the line to start lap number 5. And he's got 18 litres left in the tank, so I guess that at the end of this lap we'll see him come in for his one and only pit stop. And that should be the same for everybody who started with a full tank and hasn't been in the pits yet. Talking about being in the pits, it's Atomic, currently in P26, coming for a pit stop. I'm not quite sure if that time is correct, saying he's 14 minutes off the lead, but or maybe he had an incident. Smolder and Eisenschenk on track for P11, that is. You can see Eisenschenk not going down into the carousel, Smolder going onto the slabs there. Looks like he got a far better run actually through there. So with that run, coming out onto the long straight here under the gantry, you can see the gap is only 3/10, so this should be pretty easy for him. There he goes to the left hand side and gets past Eisenschenk fairly easily. Not quite sure. 275, yeah, that just might be a high downforce setup. To be fair, Crab coming into the pits here at the end of lap 4, that is for him. And Smolder now starting to pull away from Eisenschenk. So it looks like Smolder the one with more pace at the moment. And Eisenschenk actually coming in for his pit stop. That was quite the lock up there. But looks like he got away with it. No pit speed infringement there. So that's a penalty you really want to avoid. Oh dear. Just saw what Burgerfun's last lap time was. Well, it was 7 minute 50. That was terrible, so I switched over, and yeah, there we go. Front left hand side damage for the Norwegian driver. So that's definitely not going to help his pace. And considering there's not really anyone around him. Actually dropped behind Gregwin due to the incident as well. That must have happened on his own. That is not something we're used to seeing from the Norwegian driver. Being usually very quick and consistent. But yeah, the Green Hell, a very, very punishing track. And if you make a mistake, you're usually in the wall. And that can cost you a whole race. Yorick caught up to the back of Stephen Carey here. He's on the outside down to the hairpin, but gets that move done very easily. Interesting how aggressive he actually cuts to the inside there on turn-in. And Yorick now up into 12th. Unless anything unexpected happens, he should be fine to go to the end. With that 60 litres remaining in the tank, as we've got 25 minutes left in the session. Got JJ in the pits in that nice white and blue livery. And yeah, that's always weird. You get the animation that you're ready to go, but the game doesn't let you. So JJ will have to wait a bit longer. Just having a look back here at TPW. He was earlier a bit closer to Tom the Hawks in the fight for third, but looks like at the moment the Swede has got the upper hand. So TPW will have to really fight for that third position if he wants it. But at the moment he's more in danger of getting overtaken himself. Gap to average boy behind, 2.6 seconds at the moment. And that's Bogeyfans losing more positions. Oh no, he's crashed again. He's lost his rear wing. Where on the track is he currently? Oh, that's still a very, very long way to go. That he is where on the track map? Where actually is he? Oh, he's oh, that's oh, that's absolutely terrible. Just going through Kalmhard, I think this is here. Yeah, he's got so far to go, and without that rear wing, that's going to cost him so much time. So, depending how bad it is, we might actually see a retirement, because it's actually quite difficult to even keep this thing going in the right direction, let alone doing several kilometers of Nordschleife with it. As you can see, actually starting to get darker now, but it looks like it's still trying, and actually it's going 200 kilometers an hour, so I'm not quite sure if that damage information is correct on my screen. Maybe he has a bit less damage, but he still definitely will have a high amount for sure. I mean, he's due to pay anyways, but obviously the repairs and the damage will both cost him time, and he's hit the wall again, this time on the front of the car. And it's going very south at the moment, so let's quickly switch away, so we don't have to see the pain. So, back at the front, current running order. Inky Chris still leading this race. Gap at the moment is now up to 39 seconds. AS Turbo in second, having a decent race. Tomahawks in third, keeping TPW behind. And actually, TPW with a 15-second gap. Where did that come from? An average boy as well. Wonder what happened there. So looks like top three might be set in stone, unless obviously they have an issue on their own. But TPW is in fourth, closely followed by Average Boy in P5. And we've got WMDR Martin in P6, Gwegwin in seventh, also moving up quite a couple of positions. Ultimate with a decent race, he's up into 8th. Smaller in P9, and then we've got Crab in 10th. And our race leader, Inky Chris, is in the pits. 22 minutes remaining in the session. as he crosses the line to start lap number 6. So let's see how big the gap actually is. If he manages to pull out of that pit box before the next driver behind him comes into the pits. Is AS Turbo coming through Hornrhein at the moment. And yeah, Inky Chris is already back out as AS Turbo is now just coming in. And Tomahawk's behind as well. So yeah, I wasn't aware that that gap between second and third was so close, but yeah, Tomahawk's really late on the brakes there. TBW coming in, Average Boy coming in, so now we should see everybody who hasn't pitted yet. They'll all come in on the same lap now, yeah, at the end of lap 5. WMBR Martin also coming into the pits. So any position changes during these pit stops. AS Turbo is the first of the pack to leave, as expected. And looks like Tomahawks, yeah, he got out in third. Martin just stopped. Gregwin also in now, as we can see the sun setting here at the Grand Prix track. And yeah, no change in positions here between Tomahawks and Average Boy. And it seems that Average Boy lost a bit of time in that pit stop. TBW in... oh, sorry, no. Actually, Average Boy jumped TBW in the pits. So Average Boy now in 4th, and TBW is in P5. Martin in P6. Smolder is in 7th. And then we've got Ultimate in the pits. Crab staying out because he already pitted. So he'll gain a spot there. And then we've got Gregwin also in the pits. Currently in 10th. And then there's Yoguk, who's actually going to jump these two. So that's him out into 9th now. So back into the top 10, even with the issues he's had so far. And considering the issue Burgerfranz is having, looks like Yoguk can gain a couple of points tonight in comparison to Burgerfranz, who now finally made it to the pits. That was a very, very long lap around the track. Let's have a look. I mean, usually he should be doing about 7.5 minute lap time. Let's have a look what's going to be now. 9 minute 19. So that lap almost cost him 2 full minutes. That would have been a very terrible experience, I bet. But you made it now. He'll get the repairs done. Dusty, his teammate, is also in just behind him. And interestingly enough, through the pit stop, Inky Chris's gap to second place has increased even more. So the only one that can take that win away from him at the moment is himself. Atomic in... I want to say into the pits again, but I think he might actually have retired and is just standing in his pit box. Unless I've missed something. Mashup Matt in the pits as well, and it looks like he'll need some repairs too. Not only fuel. You can see the left hand side there is broken, but not anymore. Ritvars has also made it back into the pits after losing his rear wing. So that will be a lengthy stop for repairs. And Ritvars currently out of the points. He's up into 20th now, but only because he passed cars that are already in their pit boxes. That means that Fat Scout actually moves up into the last points paying position, into P20. and he's already been to the pits. Although saying that, he does have some damage and he spun into a wall. So that's not very fortunate. I had a bit of a stutter there, so I hope the server is stable. But yeah, just as he got into the points, he spun, and now he's on P21, but JJ does have a penalty, so there's still a chance. Meanwhile, Gregwin here, fighting ultimate for P11, as they sweep through the forest. And that's a very interesting experience, driving around here in the dark. So if you thought mistakes were easy to make, now they're going to be easier to make. Credit to Inky not being in the Nissan. Is he in? I haven't checked it. Obviously, Inky Chris, one of the drivers who switched cars. Where is he? There he goes. Yeah, he did switch cars. Obviously, he was in the Orica before. He's not anymore now, and suddenly he's found a lot of pace. I'm not quite sure if he's not in the Ligier Nissan. It's obviously the Ligier, but can't tell what engine manufacturer is using. And on my list, which I get from the forums, it's actually not been updated yet that Inky Chris switched cars. So yeah, unfortunately I don't have any information on what engine manufacturer is using, but he has switched to the Ligiers. And that looks like some damage there for Fat Scout after his spin into the wall, and he's holding up Mashup Matt a bit here. Ooh, it's a very, very odd line there for Fat Scout as they come up through the fruit bats. I wouldn't be surprised if yeah, he has to do a major lift through there, which is not really necessary usually, and he's just holding up everyone behind. Not quite sure if that's really necessary considering the amount of damage he seems to have. He's not going to hold on to that anyways. Just making everyone's life a bit difficult, but maybe that's just my opinion on things. And that's a very slow crab to let Yogurt pass, and actually crabs into the wall. Yeah, he's lost his rear wing, that's why he's going so slow, and that's why he spun, and he spun again, and now he can't see a thing. Yeah, that's the issue now in the dark. If you crash with the front of your car, and I think that's probably going to be a retirement, looking at his difficulties actually keeping it in the right direction. Yeah, but obviously at night, when you damage the front of the car, you've got no headlights, so you don't know where you're going. So now it's even more important to keep it on the black stuff. So perhaps if you're not actively fighting for a position, perhaps a few percent less push during the night, just to keep it out of the barriers, because that's the most important thing around here. Obviously, we've seen plenty of incidents so far, and now at night, it's only going to get more difficult. So yeah, Yoguk now up into 8th. What happened to... Oh, maybe his repair stop was so long. Bogeyfran so out of the points now. Only down in 24th. So yeah, he's got a bit of catching up to do, but looks like the points paying positions are actually over a minute away. And considering there's only 12.5 minutes left in the session, he might not gain points today, which would be very unfortunate. Just having a look here at Inky Chris now in the dark. It's actually, for me as a commentator, quite hard to tell where on track they are without having a cheeky look at the track map. You can see Inky Chris has just started his round of the Nordschleife. He's currently gone through Hatzenbach there, and will now drive up to the Flugplatz, as we've got less than 12 minutes now remaining. So he'll complete this lap, and then we'll have a lap after that. So 8 racing laps as predicted. And looks like Inky Chris is going to be fairly unchallenged for that. Crab still trying to get around the track. I mean, just look at the cockpit perspective. You can barely see a thing. I mean, at least now he's got the Dettinger Höhe here, so a bit less trees. But yeah, he just tries to accelerate, and the car just spears straight into the wall. So the only thing he can hope is to somehow keep it in a straight line and not get in anyone's way. And then he's only got a couple of kilometers left to the pits. As I say that, he's actually hit the wall again. Uni in the pits with 8 litres left. I think Uni was in the pits fairly early to repair some damage. Looks like he topped off the tank, but can't make it to the end on that. So he'll have to put in a couple of more litres for the last minutes of the session. Stephen Carey is currently in 11th, and again a bit of a stutter here on the server. So I hope that's not going to be an issue with only 10 minutes remaining. Eisenschenk actually also in, and he does have the necessary fuel, so looks like some damage repairs there for the German driver. So let's stick with Jorguk, who's closing up to WMDR Martin, and let's have an onboard ride here at the very dark Nordschleife as we come over Flugplatz. You can see that's ahead. There is Martin. The gap is 1.7 seconds, and yeah, at 9. I mean, it's still a bit of light out there, but yeah, at night it's really just a bit of headlight ahead of you and barriers left and right. Yeah, Jorguk back into P8, that's correct. He apparently not giving up tonight. Good fighting spirit there from him after that incident with Ritvars. And I think he started 22nd, so at the moment he's up 14 positions. So it's still a very, very good result. As Martin there with a bit of a mistake through Adenauer forced. Got 9 minutes left. So if you look at the track map, you can see that there at the northern end of the track. So 1.5 laps remaining, and again another mistake from Martin there. A big slide, but holds on to it for now and holds on to the position. But surely Jorguk is now going to really put the pressure on, and that's Martin off onto the grass and gives the wall a tap there, and that's Jorguk through into 7th. Again, Jorguk putting the pressure on, forcing drivers in front into mistakes, and moves up the position. Next up, Smolder, 4 seconds. That's definitely doable for him. So he'll definitely keep pushing. He's a very, very quick driver, so he won't give up. You can see that's the gap ahead there. As they go through Bergwerk now. Very, very slidey there for Jorguk, but keeping it on the track. And you can see gap already went down to 3.3 there. So the pace is definitely there. So last time around Jorguk did a 7.26. So very good lap there from him. Meanwhile, Inky Chris has extended the gap to a full minute now. If we open the track map here, you can see where he is and then where the rest of the top 10 is. That's quite the gap. That's several kilometers. And looks like actually he'll be lapping a car very soon. Yeah, that is Fat Scout, who's driving well without a rear wing. So let's hope there's going to be no incidents there. when Inky Chris closes in. And he should be able to do that before the last chicane. Actually, Fat Scout hitting the inside wall there. I'm not quite sure if that was on purpose, probably not. And Average Boy has found a way past AS Turbo. So we've got a new third position. AS Turbo now dropped down to fourth. I'm not quite sure if he made a mistake or if Average Boy just did it on pure pace. But he's already extending the gap 1.5 seconds now. So Average Boy with a decent shot at a podium position here. There's only a bit more than a lap to go, and that will be a great result for him, considering he didn't finish the first race and finished P18 last week in Mugello. And Smaller has already been gobbled up by Yogurt there. So that's another victim of the Latvian driver. So up into P6. Now TPW is up next, but that gap is 13 seconds. So Yogurt will need to push on that last lap to close the gap. So let's have a look once they cross the line what the last lap times were, to compare if Yogg has a shot or not. I think Chris has already obviously started that last lap to the 7:27. Tombohawks to the 7:32. Average Boy with the 7:38. And AS Turbo really dropping some time now. So I think he must have had some sort of incident and is now nursing home with some damage. TBW's time 7:38, same as Average Boy, and then Yogg did a 7:24. So Yogg currently fastest driver on track and 14 seconds quicker last time around compared to TBW. The gap is 11 seconds, so there's a good shot, or good chance that Yogg has a shot of a top 5 finishing position, but he'll have to continue pushing here on this last lap. He's got over 20 kilometers to do it, so he'll have quite some time to do it, but no mistakes. As it looks this time around, Average Boy made some small mistake and again dropped some time, keeping AS Turbo in the game here for third position. So that's the two fights we're going to keep an eye out for here on this last lap of the LMP2 race here from the combined Nürburgring. That's a fight for P3 and a fight for P5. And actually, the gap between TPW and AS Turbo is not very large either. So Average Boy and AS Turbo also can't make any mistakes, otherwise they'll be under threat from Yogg. I mean, that would be a very incredible story if Yogg actually managed to move up into third, but I think it's unlikely. But never say never. We're now going through Hatzenbach. Wow, you can see how he's attacking every corner now, using all the width of the track. Just slightly kissing the curbs, not going over them, because they will spin you in these cars, but yeah, using all the track that he can. And the gap to TPW is already down to 7.5 seconds. That's Stephen Carey in for repairs apparently, with 1 lap to go. You can see AS Turbo again dropping time, so struggling a bit here towards the end of the race. TPW not very far behind, and Yogg Still no push there as the camera has found him now. I was concerned for a second there. But he's still going strong. Gap now 6 seconds. Bogey Franz has moved up into points paying positions and is close to Ritwas here. It's a battle for 19th. So at least a couple of points there for the championship leader at the moment. It's going to be 1 solid point. And Airfile and Emiranja here are fighting it out for P16, but we will stay at the top of the pack here to see what happens with that P3, P5 situation. Let's go on board here with Yogurt to see what a blisteringly quick lap around the Nordschleife at night looks like. You can see now it's completely dark, so not much to see, just sometimes see some headlights in the distance. You can see, you can now see Martin just in the distance, and that's definitely going to motivate him. And that in front of TPW is now actually AS Turbo, so you're definitely with a shot of P4. So it looks like AS Turbo is really struggling at the moment. TPW has caught up to the back of him, and now behind them, that is Yogurt right there. So the fight for P4 is definitely on here on the last lap after 1 hour of racing here at the Nürburgring. There's 20 seconds left on the clock. That will run out soon, and then we'll complete this lap and finish the race. Inky Chris currently looking very undisputed for the race win. But these guys here, they've got still this very, very fast and flowing section ahead of them as TPW goes a bit wide there, gets onto the curb, and that might cost him a spot here. Yogurt has to capitalize on every error from the cars in front as they go through the carousel now. And not a good exit from Martin. Yogurt is right on his tail. Is he going to have a look to the outside? No, sticks behind for now. Just can't find a way past TPW at the moment. Let's just have a quick glance at Inky Chris. He is actually in the last couple of corners now, so we'll stay with him through Hohenrhein as Inky Chris with a 1 minute 12 gap to second place is coming around the final corner onto the front straight now, and he's going to win at the Nürburgring. That's the first win for Inky Chris here in the LMP2 League. Well, absolute dominance, flawless performance, absolutely fantastic. Congratulations to him. Quickly back to this fight, we can see Yogurt has made it past TPW. AS Turbo is going slow. Yogurt to the inside and moves past AS Turbo as well. Yogurt up into 4th place, moving up 2 spots here on the last lap. Average Boy will be too far away. That battling has cost all of them quite a bit of time, but Yogurt up into 4th position after starting outside the top 20, not setting a qualifying time, and it looks like he's going to get a great haul of points. Bogey Franz, the championship leaders, currently only in 18th place. Ultimate Käse, who's second, is also quite a bit down the order. So that's a great points haul there for Yogurt, who's gonna, by the looks of it, finish in 4th position. And Tumberhawks also with a great race. Not the dominance that Inky Chris had, but very clean and calm. Kept it out of the walls. And a very good second place there for Tumberhawks. Crossing the line now. Good performance. And Average Boy getting that P3. Just a couple of minutes ago he actually moved himself into that spot. Was outside the top 3 for most of the race, but also kept it clean and moved himself up into a podium position. First podium for Average Boy, congratulations to him. And then obviously Yogurt here with a great comeback, starting from way down the order, having an incident, getting the car repaired, and then fighting back to finish 4th place. Absolutely fantastic. Great performance. He spins across the line in celebration. TPW is going to come home in P5. AS Turbo has dropped down to P6. That is. And then that's Smolder coming up to the line. He's going to finish in 7th place. Also decent performance there from him. And then next up, WMDR Martin. He started in 11th, moved up 3 spots. Also decent performance there from him. He's going to finish P8 tonight. And then the gap to the next car is actually quite a bit, and we can see Ultimate Cares is actually still under pressure from Gwegwin here as they come down Dettinger under the bridge. Gwegwin is going round the outside. They're going to go to Hornryan, and Gwegwin has got the move done. He cuts in front and is in 9th position now, so that's a very last minute move, but oh no, he's a bit of a slide there. He's going to hold on to that. Ultimate is going to have the slipstream, but looks like it's going to be enough for Gwegwin. Gwegwin coming home in P9. Ultimate Kaiser rounding off the top 10. Good fight there from both of the drivers towards the end of that race. Congratulations. And then the next driver would be the Gnome outside the top 10. But yeah, just having a look, because I would have been expecting Inky Chris to performing some sort of celebratory donuts. But it looks like it's just a formation and a bit of flashing lights, perhaps. So, yeah, what a great race from Inky Chris there. He's been decently quick throughout the last couple of races, even though he obviously wasn't the Oracle, but always finishing strong, and now with that win, absolutely deserved. So congrats to him. The Gnome finishing in P11. Managed to, I think, get through most of the race cleanly, if I remember correctly. Uni, the next one who's going to finish, he's going to finish in 12th position. You can see still quite a few drivers are still on their laps, just due to the length of the track. And there's the podium boys right there. Yeah, average boy, not so average tonight. That's absolutely correct. Good performance. So yeah, Uni in P12, and X's is coming now through the last corner. He's going to finish P13. Decent haul of points there. Congratulations. And good job on everybody who finished the race. Not easy surviving the Nordschleife. Eisenschenk, he's going to finish in 14th. Deophile, P15. And that behind him there is Mlonia. He's going to finish in 16th. So Deophile on his first outing here in the LMP2 League, getting a couple of points. P15. And Mlonia behind, finishing in 16th. And then in 17th we'll have our current championship leader, Bogey Franz. I'm not quite sure if that's gonna shift tonight. Just having a look, Inky Chris was down by 50 points. So let me have a look. Gonna gain 51. But obviously Bogey Franz is also gonna get a couple of points. So Inky Chris won't be overtaking Bogey Franz quite yet. He finishes in 17th. And he'll be very happy that this one is over, considering the struggles he had tonight. Ritvars trying to finish in 18th, but only has 3 minutes left and no headlights. So that might be an issue. You can see a bit of carnage here going on in turn 1. But yeah, there we have him, Inky Chris. A race winner tonight, so good job to him. Yeah, congrats obviously to everyone who kept it out of the wall. That was the most important part. Then Inky Chris also was very quick tonight. You can see that last lap, another 7-minute 24. So yeah, absolutely great pace from Inky Chris. Dusty does have a penalty coming across the line. but only 1 second. So yeah, that didn't really change much. And where's Ritvars? Oh dear, he's still at Schwabenschwanz, so I'm not quite sure if he's gonna make it across the line, actually. But considering the other drivers were lapped, I think he should get P18, even if he can't make it across before the timer runs out. And Inky Chris still enjoying his in-lap. He's got only 1 litre left in the tank though. But yeah, good performance. So it's going to be interesting to see whether this was just a very, very strong track for him, or whether the car change now means we have another challenger at the front of the pack. Alright, so let's have a look into the Discord then. If we have drivers perhaps already waiting for interviews. So I'll need to find the proper channel first. There we go. And then we'll get ready for some interviews tonight. Alright, no drivers are there yet, unfortunately. But we'll just give them a minute. I bet there's a lot to talk about. I mean, what a race it was. Inky Chris setting that very, very good qualifying time and then just absolutely dominating the race, keeping it perfectly clean. Stunning drive for him. Obviously Yoguk with that comeback, not setting a time in qualifying, starting outside the top 20, then moving up to, I think it was 7th or so, having that incident with Ritvars at YouTube corner, having to come into the pits, get the car repaired, dropping all the way down to, I think, 17th or so, and then fighting back to finish P4, getting that 2 positions on the last lap. Incredible stuff. So now on screen are the final standings, and just having a look. Yeah, Ritvars was classified in P18 even though he didn't finish the last lap. And then we've got a couple of more retirements at the bottom. So just on screen I'll leave the top 10 here if you want to let that sink in. And wow, after that race and after that last lap, I'll just have a quick sip of water before we'll get into the interviews. Alright, so let's get started with the interviews then. And first of all, of course, it's our race winner, Inky Chris. Good evening.
Good evening.
Oh,
how are you?
What an absolute dominant performance. Congratulations, first of all, to that race victory. Wow, what a race. Obviously, first of all, let's start with qualifying. What a gap. I think 4.5 seconds there in the end to second place. That must have been the lap of a lifetime.
Yeah, it was a little nerve-wracking on that first lap because, well, I wasn't confident that 6 seconds at the start of the lap was going to be enough, and it wasn't. But it was at least good practice to be right up under the bumper of someone in case I ended up kind of starting in the middle of the pack, which is where I was expecting to be. But yeah, then managed to just kind of hook one up after that. And yeah, it was just, I guess, other people weren't quite so fortunate with hooking a clean lap up as I was, and managed to put in a pretty good time. So that was the start of good things.
Yeah, obviously the two drivers that were very dominant in qualifying in the previous couple of rounds, Jogik and Berger Franz, not able to set any qualifying times tonight. Do you think that helped a lot, or do you think you'd have the pace to
Yeah,
fight with the two?
I mean, uh, it's hard to know what pace they could have pulled out. It looks like Yogurt did a kind of 7:24 best, I think. I think most of my laps were 22s. It's fairly surprisingly consistent. I kept going over the timing boards and being like a tenth off, which for like 3-minute sectors is quite impressive. I think it averages out between so many corners, to be honest. But yeah, I think I definitely benefited from their misfortune. Not that I would wish any upon them. But yeah, I was just after getting a pretty good start as well. I seemed to catch pretty much everyone off guard. Most people seem to kind of go right at the end of the acceleration zone. I wanted to get as much space as possible at the end of the straight, and that seemed to work as well. Just got clean air and just kind of put my head down, put the laps in, and paid off.
So obviously there has been a car change for you. Previously in the Orica, what made you consider doing that switch?
Yeah, it was reluctant. I did like the Orica, but it is just slower, basically. I did a little research, and it turns out that Orica is like a 2012 Le Mans winner. So it was no slouch compared to its competitors, but the Ligier is like 2014, 2015. I think some regs changed, and they've all got turbos and stuff. So like down the straights, especially the Orica just doesn't compete. It's great fun to drive. It feels great. It's by far the best handling LMP2 car, but it's also incredibly aero sensitive. I think it's a little more aero sensitive than these Ligiers, so especially in the pack where it naturally ends up because it's slower. It's just a kind of compounding issue. So I reluctantly followed everyone else and picked a Ligier, although I avoided the Nissan because I didn't want to be too common, because there's enough of those already. So
Yeah, I wasn't quite sure actually what engine you were running, because on my list it hadn't been updated yet, so I didn't have any information on that. So
yeah,
not
I
the
picked
Nissan
the no, not the Nissan. Partly just because I wanted a unique livery, and they're a little short, given how many people there were. I picked the Judd. I tried the Honda, and personally, it's quite interesting because they're all basically the same chassis. So you'd think they all handled very similarly, but actually, at least with the default setups, the Judd felt by far and away the nicest to drive. But even tonight, I was watching some practice sessions before the race, and the Nissan's topping out at kind of 290 something down some of the straights, and the Judd's kind of barely scraping 280. So even then, with the same chassis, the engines make a big difference. That's generally why everyone's in Nissan, because it's quite a lot faster. So Le Mans might not be the sensational display that it was tonight for me, but we'll see.
Well, obviously, congratulations to the win. So let's get to the race itself.
Yeah.
Obviously, the gap at the end was very big, over a minute, and lapping wasn't really a thing due to the track length. But I saw there were a few lap cars that were slow due to damage. Was there any scary moments there for you?
I think I got pretty lucky. I only passed one car on track. It was a little scary because I had no idea if they knew I was coming, and I was going much faster than them down the Dottinger straight. And but they were kind of basically in the barrier stationary, kind of halfway down that straight. So I'm not sure what happened. I think they were trying to limp it back to the pits, but I kind of whizzed past them at great speed. Thankfully, nothing too hairy happened there. Other than that, it was nothing eventful. Just kind of watching the time deltas slowly increase to my delight.
So, now with the car switch, just having a look at the results, obviously P6, P7, and now a win. How much do you think was just perhaps down to qualifying luck or to the car tonight?
I think, yeah, I mean, I can't put my qualifying luck down. It definitely helped a lot. I think I'd have had a bit more of a fight on my hands if I had Yogok and Boga friends behind me on the start, or even in front, which is what I was expecting. But yeah, I think Spa's definitely not going to be quite the walkover that it was tonight. Certainly, it's another power-hungry track as well, so the Nissans should show me up there, but we'll see.
So now at the halfway point of the season, got any goals for the second half where you want to finish?
I mean, championship-wise, I'm not really, starting in the Orica, I wasn't kind of setting my sights on anything particular there. Obviously, before Andrex quit, I was kind of hopeful to be fairly competitive in the team championship, but that wasn't meant to be. It would be nice. I mean, my main goal for this whole season was basically to win Nordschleife, which I've managed to achieve. So anything else is definitely a bonus. But I do like to think of myself as quite a good wet weather driver. So particularly looking forward to the final round as well.
All right. Well, then thanks for coming in for an interview, and see you next week.
Thank you very much.
So let's have a look who's here as well. Obviously, next up, we'll have to talk to possibly driver of the day. It's Yogok. Good evening.
Good evening.
Well, what a race. Obviously, let's start off with qualifying before that. Didn't manage to put a lap in. What happened there for you personally in qualifying tonight?
A really uncharacteristic mistake of me on this track. Like, it was just the physics bugging out or something, because I didn't even know it was possible to spin in that corner. But I managed to do it right at the worst moment, and I got damage, and that was it. I couldn't do anything else. But yeah, I think it could have been at least like a 216 for me. So really a shame. I would have guessed that I would have probably ran away with it, but honestly, starting at the back wasn't too bad, even if I did have a lot of incidents.
Yeah, I did see you pulling out of the pits to try and do a lap, and then I looked at the clock and was like, well, that's less than 7 minutes now, so he's not going to make it round. And right at that moment, you pulled over because you realised yourself. Yeah, that's obviously unfortunate. Well, yeah, then starting outside the top 20, you did move up a hell of a lot of positions in the first lap. Take us through that.
Well, whenever I'm in a situation like that, I try to be extra aggressive on the starts, because that's when people are the most vulnerable. It kind of worked out, even if there were some complications. There were some people lagging a little, so it was kind of real hard to get past them. But yeah, then it started to get back into a rhythm, and some people, they didn't really realize how fast I was, so they were kind of defending, and because of that, I just tried to overtake them all the time in each corner. As you know, it's pretty bad in Nürburgring, Nordschleife. So yeah, I couldn't really overtake them in the end. I just got some front aero damage because I braked a bit too late. So my plan was to pit as soon as possible to be able to make it on a one stop without going for fuel again. But then I got even more damage after I got some more contact with Ritwars, and yeah, after that it was just undrivable, so I had to pit. In the end, it came out that I had to do 2 pit stops, and yeah, I mean, at the start of the race, it was pretty unpleasant. Just, I didn't really show what I was capable of in the first half at all. I was just really making quite a lot of mistakes, even if I was moving up the field steadily. But then at the second half of the race, I finally got into a rhythm and I was pushing it a lot. And I saw that people, especially when it became dark, people became a lot more slower, while I, on the other hand, got a lot faster. And basically I was pulling in at least 10 seconds per lap on everybody who was in front of me. And there was this really epic last lap battle with me, Ticklish, and Asturbo. I don't know if you caught that on the stream, but it was...
Of course we got that on the stream.
that was like that's probably what made the race for me. And if I wouldn't have had that battle, I would say there was a pretty bad race for me. But just because of that one battle, I think it was actually a pretty good race, even if, yeah, it wasn't exactly what I was expecting. Still, making 2 stops instead of 1, finishing P4. I mean, I cannot complain. I did what I could.
Oh yeah, definitely incredible. Fight through the pack. That's for sure. Yeah, I mean, decent race considering the starting position. Obviously, I guess you would like more wins. What is your aim for the rest, or for the second half of the season? I think a championship could be in your sights.
I'm not really aiming for the championship. I'm just trying to have some fun, and that's exactly what I had today.
Okay, let's see how the next 2 races go, and maybe we'll talk about that later. Considering you're saying, I could have gone 3 seconds quicker than pole position tonight. So
yeah, but there's actually one thing I would like to remind to the drivers if they're listening to this. Just remember that I'm quicker. If I'm behind you, I'm quicker. Don't be scared of me. I won't take you out. I know what I'm doing. Stay in your line, and I will finish the job. You don't have to go off the track. You don't have to be scared. I will manage to do it. Okay? It's fine.
You're here with the scare tactics, scaring people off track. All right. Well, thanks for coming into the interview tonight, and see you next week.
Yep. See you next week.
Bye bye. So, next up, we have another driver who was part of that battle towards the end. It's Ticklish Picklewickle. Good evening. So, I mean, first of all, congratulations to a decent race finish there, top 5 for you. Tell us a bit about your race.
So, yeah, I mean, first couple of laps was a bit, basically turn 1, which was the last chicane on the GP track. That was basically turn 1 in this instance. Yeah, so someone tried to go around the outside, didn't really make it, so we kind of touched there. But yeah, so a little bit of a hectic start, but I didn't get any damage. So basically, it was just all about kind of turning laps and making sure not to make any major mistakes for me. So I did that, and I believe by the time we pitted for fuel, I was P4, I think, if I remember correctly. Then on my in-lap, I unfortunately spun 180 degrees around, so I had to turn the car around, and I lost about 10-15 seconds there. And then to make it a little bit worse, I also overfueled a bit in the pits, so I lost the position in the pits as well. So that was obviously not ideal, but I mean, then from the end, it was basically just like my first, and just keeping it on the black stuff and turning laps. Obviously, there was a little, I don't know if you caught it, but there was a little incident between me, Asturbo, and Yogurk, where basically Yogurk managed to take both of us in like the same corner.
Yeah, I did catch it. actually all of that. So that's good for me to hear that I didn't miss too much of what happened at the front of the pack. Obviously, with 30 drivers, it's not always easy to try and catch everything. But yeah, the touch at the start, the losing the position in the pits, and the last lap battle, obviously all on stream. So yeah, that was quite a eventful race there for you, definitely. Considering we're at the halfway point of the season now, maybe a good time to look back at how the first half went and what your expectations are for the second half of the season.
Oof, well, um, I mean, my first half was decent. I've been a little bit unlucky, especially on the Bathurst race. I had some incidents there, which was basically all my fault. So definitely going forward, I would like to be a little bit more consistent and avoid mistakes. I don't think my pace is so bad, at least not for most of the tracks. So I think basically the plan is the same as what it was for the first half, which was to kind of play on my strengths, which is to stay consistent and keep out of trouble, which should be that's basically gonna be my goal for the second half of the season.
All right, well then, thank you very much for the interview, and I guess we'll see you next week.
Sure.
All right, thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So next up, where is it? There he is. It's WMDR Martin. Good evening to you.
To you too.
Well, quite an interesting race tonight, and for you personally, I think if I remember correctly, starting just outside the top 10 and then finishing 8th. Tell us a bit about the race from your perspective. What were the difficulties, any incidents from your perspective, and just overall, how happy are you with the result tonight?
I'm for one pretty happy that I actually survived this time. It's this track can be quite a death trap, as I found out like right after the start, because the two guys right in front of me had a big crash and I barely managed to dodge it. And then from there on out, it was basically just the field spreading out. Some people in front of me having more incidents and gaining positions off of that. Then the faster guys started to catch up, but then some of those still made mistakes. But for instance, with Joger, he ended up dropping back, but then he was recovering over 10 seconds a lap like a madman. But in general, for me, it was just a matter of surviving, and I had maybe like one spin, one small moment in the carousel. Other than that, I pitted for way too much fuel because I didn't really trust the game. But in the end, that cost me quite a bit of time too. And in the final lap, I actually did have a crash because I kept getting screen freezes where your screen doesn't really change for like about a second, which can be quite a death trap. And on like halfway through the final lap, I hit the wall, but still managed to keep it going and didn't lose any positions because everyone was so far away. So pretty happy with the result.
So next week up, another track located in some mountains and forests. It's Spa. Are you looking forward to that?
Yeah, I mean it's my home race. I should be able to actually push there because in this track, since it's just about surviving, I didn't take a single risk, which meant that wasn't exactly the most exciting, but I think next week's going to be pretty interesting.
Well, in that case, thank you very much for coming in for an interview, and see you next week.
Yeah.
And then last but not least, we've got someone who's had a bit of more mixed fortunes in tonight's race. It's Uni. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you after this very interesting and a bit turbulent race for some drivers? If I remember correctly, you did have to pitch for damage at some point. Perhaps tell us a bit about the race from your perspective and what happened to make repairs necessary for you.
Well, yeah, it was unfortunate. I had a good qualifying. I had qualifying P8, which was higher than I was expecting, but then the first corner going onto the Nordschleife section of the track, I ended up getting involved in an incident and falling to the back of the grid. But overall, I wasn't too disappointed with the race. I was able to climb back up to P12 throughout the duration of the race, so it wasn't too disappointing.
Well, looking at that, it's now the halfway point of the season. Obviously, mixed results for you so far. One DNF, and then the other two just picking up a couple of points. Looking back at the first half, how happy are you with the results so far, and what are your expectations personally for what your target is for the second half?
Well, I'd like to get into the top 10 for the second half to start. That's definitely my goal for the rest of the season, to try to get into the top 10 finishes. It is my only, it's only my first season with AOR, my first actual league sim racing, so I don't have too high of expectations, but top 10 would be definitely a good goal for me, I think. Looking back on the first half of this season, Bathurst obviously was kind of disappointing. Again, I qualified, I think, P8 or P7, but then DC'd transferring into the race from qualifying. So overall, that race was just very disappointing and discouraging. Mugello, I was also kind of disappointed. I felt like I had more pace, but then with the car changes, me and Yager decided in the long term it'd be better if we went with the Nissan over the RWD. So I feel like in the RWD, because I was practicing, I had some more pace to offer in that car. But then once we made the switch, I feel like I kind of underperformed to where I thought I would, so that was kind of disappointing. But then again, this race, I felt like I made a good recovery drive, so I guess it's somewhat of a consolation.
All right. Well, thanks for coming in for an interview. Good luck for the last 3 races, and I guess we'll see you next week.
All right. Thank you. Have a good one.
Thanks. Bye-bye. So that is the round of interviews done. Before we go, let's have a look at the rest of the season. Obviously, we've talked about it. Next week, we're going to Spa for a 60-minute race. And then the week after that, we'll have the 2.4 hours of Le Mans. And after that, we'll round off the season with a wet race in Portugal. So thank you for everybody who has been watching tonight. Obviously, if you enjoyed, like the video. Don't forget to subscribe to see plenty more league racing content here on AOR. And hope seeing you in 1 week's time for the Spa race. So next week, Wednesday, 8 PM UK time as usual. And thank you for watching. See you next week. Bye-bye.